The ground shook under Captain Elias Monroe's boots as another artillery shell exploded near the ridge. Dirt and metal filled the air. The war between humans and the Zyari had raged for over a year, and Kalen 4 was its latest battlefield. A dusty, broken planet scarred by trenches and blood. Elias wiped the sweat and grime from his face as he scanned the rocky horizon through his visor. The Zyari hive city loomed ahead, a towering structure of black stone and sharp spires. It looked more like a weapon than a city. "Command, this is Shadow 1, Elias said into his com. "We're at the edge of Hive Sector 12. No resistance. So far, proceeding with recon." "Copy that, Shadow 1, came the reply. "Proceed with caution, and remember, your eyes only. No engagement unless fired upon." Elias glanced at his Squad 5 elite soldiers, each trained for deep infiltration. But what he didn't say over the com was this. Command had given him secret orders. It was to confirm a high-level target inside the hive. Ruma said the Zyari Queen herself was in Sector 12. If true, a drone strike would follow. Fast, brutal. Final, as they moved closer, the alien city felt more alive. Pulsing lights blinked in patterns across the walls. Strange clicking noises echoed from inside. Elias motioned for silence and moved in. Then the trap snapped shut. Zyari soldiers dropped from the walls, wings buzzing, spears crackling with energy.
Ow.
One of Elise's squad members, Ramirez, shouted and opened fire. The rest followed. But it was chaos humans, firing blindly. Zyari closing fast. "Fall back," Elias shouted. "Get out, go." Without. But the exit route was blocked. Elias turned just in time to see a giant Zyari warrior swing its weapon at him. He dodged barely and rolled behind a pillar. He was alone. A sharp sound rang through the air like metal striking glass. Suddenly, the Zyari stopped moving. Even the air felt heavier. Then she appeared. Queen Zeltheri. She was tall, armored in black and deep purple chitin, with glowing green eyes and a crown made of bone. Her wings shimmered like razor-thin glass. She walked forward slowly, surrounded by elite guards. Elias raised his rifle, aiming directly at her. "Don't," she said. The word came in perfect English, though it echoed with a strange clicking accent. Elias hesitated. The queen tilted her head slightly. "You're not going to shoot, human?" she asked. "My orders say I should," Elias said. "But something feels wrong." "Yes, because your leaders lied." He narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean?" She could answer. Another explosion rocked the building. A Zyari guard ran up and spoke in rapid clicks. The queen clicked back and turned sharply to Elias. "You were followed. Not by your team, by your own kind." "What? Your commanders?" "Sent assassins. Not a strike. Not to kill me, but to kill us both. You're a problem now." Elias's mind spun. It made sense. His squad had been chosen quickly. The mission brief had gaps. And now, instead of a drone strike, there was an entire shadow team behind him. Looked at Zeltheri. "If what you're saying is true, we need to get out. Fast." She studied him. "You saved one of my children 3 weeks ago." Elias blinked. "What? The Battle of Red Gulch? A wounded drone? You pulled it from fire. You didn't have to." "I didn't know it was yours." "You didn't?" "No. It was even alive." Silence passed between them. The queen finally turned. "Come. I will not let you die today." 2 Zyari guards stepped forward, weapons humming. Elias lifted his hands, unsure. But Zeltheri raised her hand and stopped them. "He is a guest," she said loudly. They led Elias through twisting tunnels and sharp-edged halls. The hive was alive walls, pulsing lights flickering like bioluminescent veins. Reached a high chamber filled with strange glowing plants and floating crystals. It was the queen's inner chamber. "You don't fear me," she said after a long pause. "I've seen worse," Elias replied, leaning against a crystal pillar. "Once fought a methane worm on Titan. It tried to eat my arm." She gave a sharp, buzzing laugh. "Humans are strange. You have no idea." She sat down on a curved throne made of obsidian. "Why are you really here, Captain Elias Monroe?" He didn't answer right away. "To stop the war," he said finally. "Or at least, understand it. Every peace talk fails. But I started to think we don't understand you. We just ... shoot." Zeltheri looked thoughtful. "You're different from the others. So are you," Elias said. Not what I expected. Another silence passed. It wasn't awkward, just ... heavy. "You saved me today," she said. "So I'll tell you something you don't know. We didn't start this war because we hate humans. We started it because we feared what you might become, what we might become. You expand without limit. You adapt to everything. You love, but you also destroy." He didn't argue. "I've read your histories," she continued. "Your species forgets pain quickly, but you never forget love or revenge." "It's true." She stood and walked toward him slowly. "What would you do if we offered peace? I'd accept it. But would your people? I'd make them." She tilted her head again. "You speak boldly." "I've seen too much death," Elias said. "I'm tired of it." Then she did something strange. She reached out a hand, a claw, and gently touched his shoulder. "Perhaps," she said, "you and I should speak." Again, before he could respond, a low alarm echoed through the chamber. She turned to her guards, who clicked urgently. "We're under attack," she said. Elias stood. "Your people?" "No, yours." We looked at him. "Will you fight with me?" Elias nodded once. "Yeah, let's do something crazy." Elias Monroe sat on a stone bench, his back straight, eyes scanning the glowing walls around him. The chamber he was in was unlike any prison he'd ever seen. No chains, no guards holding rifles at his head, no metal bars. But it didn't feel like freedom either. Bioluminescent vines climbed the curved walls. Soft blue light filled the room. It was quiet but not peaceful. Somewhere far down the tunnel, Elias could hear the hum of energy weapons and the clicking of alien voices. He wasn't sure if he was a hostage or a guest. Maybe both. The Queen had brought him here after the ambush. Her guards had stopped the human assassins, saving both their lives. After that, she had ordered a safe room for Elias. Safe, yes, but still inside the enemy hive. Elias leaned forward and spoke into the small communicator hidden in his jacket sleeve. "Command, this is Monroe. If you're still listening, I'm alive. I'm inside the Ziari hive. And things just got complicated. Static. Nothing else they had either cut him off or left him behind." The door opened with a soft hiss. 2 Ziari guards entered, clicking softly, followed by Queen Zeltheri herself. "Still breathing?" she asked, her voice sharp and calm. "Barely," Elias replied. She walked toward him slowly. "You're lucky. Most humans who enter this hive do not leave alive. I'm starting to feel special. You should. I've decided not to kill you." "Well, thank you for the honor." She tilted her head. That was sarcasm, wasn't it? Elias smiled slightly. "Yes, I've been studying human speech. Sarcasm is confusing, but interesting." Elias stood. "So what now? Am I your prisoner?" "No," she said. "You're my guest. Is there a difference?" "Yes. A prisoner begs for mercy. A guest is offered tea." She signaled one of the guards. A tray floated in with a strange-looking drink and small glowing fruit. Elias raised an eyebrow. "Try it," she said. "It won't kill you, probably." He hesitated, then picked up the cup. The drink smelled like mint and metal. He took a sip. "It was surprisingly good, Elias said, "for a species known for war and death. You have excellent hospitality." Zeltheri's eyes glowed slightly. "We are not monsters, Elias Monroe. We fight because we must. But we were builders once. Artists, thinkers. What changed? You arrived?" Elias paused. "That's not fair. We didn't attack first." "No," she agreed. "But your kind spread fast. You build cities on dead moons. You break planets open for fuel." The galaxy watched and whispered, "What will the humans take next?" Elias didn't argue. He had seen what humanity could do, both the good and the bad. But not all humans are like that, he said. Some of us just want to explore, understand, connect, like you. He nodded. Yeah, like me. Zeltheri sat across from him, her tall figure folding gracefully. Tell me something, Elias. Do humans truly believe in love? He blinked. Yes, of course. I don't mean mating. I mean love. The illogical bond. Sacrifice. The pain. Do you feel it? Stronger than anything else? She tapped her claws on the table. Ziari royalty must mate only with those who challenge them mentally, emotionally, strategically. We do not choose for beauty or bloodlines. We choose for balance, for power, but love, that is rare. Elias frowned. So, what does Ziari do when they feel it? We don't. We're not supposed to. Another silence filled the room, a strange one. Heavy, but not uncomfortable. Zeltheri stood again. You'll have access to parts of the hive, but only under escort. No weapons, no communication. I already lost my signal. She nodded. Then perhaps it's fate. The next few days passed slowly. Elias walked through the hive under guard, observing its people. The Ziari weren't all soldiers. He saw young ones, tiny versions of their kind, playing in echoing gardens. He saw artists shaping stone and glass, watched healers tending to both Ziari and even a few captured humans, treating wounds without hate. It was not what he expected. It was a civilization, not a hive of killers. One evening, Zeltheri summoned him to a large dome chamber. The ceiling was open to the sky, where twin moons hung above. In the center of the room was a long table covered in alien instruments, books, and a single, flickering screen. It showed an old Earth film, Romeo and Juliet. Elias stared. Where? Did you get that? I asked our spies to bring samples of human emotion. This was in your archives. Elias laughed. That's not a good example. It's a tragedy. Zelthori stared at the screen. They chose death for love. Illogical, wasteful, but powerful. She turned to Elias. Are all humans like this? No, but the good ones are. Zelthori walked toward him slower this time. Would you choose death for someone you loved? He looked into her glowing green eyes. Yes. They stood in silence. The night wind drifted through the dome. Something in the air had changed. Later that night, Zeltheri met with her advisors in secret. He whispered concerns. He is dangerous, one said. Clever, unpredictable. He could be a weapon, said another. Turned against us. But Zeltheri raised her claw and silenced them. Or he could be the bridge, the first to see us not as monsters but as equals. Back in his chamber, Elias stared at the stars through the ceiling vent. The hive buzzed with quiet life around him. But in his heart, a war was brewing. He had come as a soldier. He had stayed as a guest, and now something else was forming. Not just between him and the queen, but between their kinds. An idea, a possibility. He didn't know how it would end, but he knew this. Tomorrow, he would speak with her again. And maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't leave this place alone. The neutral moon of Iridia hung silent and cold against the blackness of space, surface scarred by craters and old battlefields. Here, humans and Ziari had agreed to meet for the first time in months, a ceasefire summit meant to end the endless war that had devastated Kalenai. V. Captain Elias Monroe sat in a small, sterile meeting room inside the moon's command center, his hands folded on the table. Across from him sat Queen Zeltheri, regal and fierce in her alien armor, her green eyes calm yet unreadable. Around them, human and Ziari soldiers stood watch, their weapons never far from reach. The silence stretched until Elias finally spoke. This ceasefire, it's fragile. Both sides have lost too much already, but trust. That's harder to find. Zeltheri nodded. Trust is a choice, one we have not yet made. Elias leaned forward. I know your people better now. The hive is more than just warriors. How do you have artists, healers, thinkers, and humans? You are not just soldiers. You have poets, musicians, lovers. He smiled softly. I'm one of the lovers. Her mandibles twitched in what might have been amusement. The talks began, but the room buzzed with tension. Xenophobic human generals whispered their distrust of Elias, calling him a traitor. Warlords snapped at Zeltheri, accusing her of weakness for meeting with a human late that night. After the formal talks, Elias stepped outside to the moon's barren surface. The stars glittered overhead, cold and distant. Zelthari followed silently. "You walk alone," she said. "I needed air. Too many eyes inside." She stepped beside him. "Do you think this will work? The peace?" He shook his head.
Ain't.
"Don't know, but it's worth trying." She studied him closely. "You are not like others. You have fire." He chuckled. "You're not like others either." Their eyes met, and the cold night seemed too warm. "I want to know what makes you strong," she said. "What do humans fear?" Elias thought. "We fear loss. The loss of those we love. And love." She asked softly, "It's our greatest weakness and our greatest strength." They stood quietly, the vast silence between them filled with something unspoken. Days passed. Elias and Zeltheri spent hours talking about war, peace, fear, and hope. The queen revealed her world's strict rules. Ziari royalty must only mate with those who match their mind and spirit. It was rare to find a partner worthy. "You challenge me," she said one night. "You are chaos." "You." "Our order," he replied. They laughed together, sharing stories of battles and losses. But peace was fragile. One morning, an explosion rocked the summit. Alarms blared. A rogue faction had bombed the neutral station. Chaos erupted. Soldiers scrambled, weapons firing wildly. Elias grabbed Zeltheri's arm. "We need to get to safety," she nodded. Her eyes fierce. Together they fought through the smoke and fire, protecting each other as the building shook. At one point, Elias took a bullet meant for the queen. Pain exploded in his side, but he didn't fall. Zeltheri caught him, her mandibles trembling with worry. "You are reckless," she said. "I'm human," he smiled weakly. They made it to the communication room. Elias hacked the system, broadcasting a message to both armies, bleeding. Breathless, Elias spoke through the static. "This war will never end unless we do something new. So here's my move. Zeltheri, will you marry me? Will you make peace? Not just a treaty, but a bond?" The room went silent. Then the queen smiled, a terrifying, beautiful smile. She stepped forward, bearing her blade-like mandibles close to his throat. "Yes," she said softly. The air was thick with tension as word of Elias Monroe's proposal spread through the camps and cities of both humans and Ziari. It was unheard of, a human captain asking the alien queen for marriage in the middle of a brutal war. Many called it madness. Others saw it as the only hope for peace. But for Elias and Queen Zeltheri, this was only the beginning. The summit on Iridia became a flurry of whispered meetings and secret deals. The rogue factions that opposed peace tried to sabotage every step, yet the alliance between Elias and Zeltheri held strong. They met daily, planning not only how to end the war but how to unite two very different worlds. Elias sat with Zeltheri in the royal chamber of the hive, surrounded by the shimmering crystals and glowing vines he had come to know. The queen wore a simple ceremonial gown, woven from iridescent fibers that caught the light like liquid starlight. Elias reached for her clawed hand. "The elders want to know, how will we convince them? The warlords, the generals. Both sides are full of doubt." Zeltheri's green eyes glowed softly. "We will show them. Our bond will be more than words. It will be proof." He nodded. "And the ceremony? What does it mean?" "Ziari tradition," she explained. "Mating binds to souls. Is more than love. It is a union of strength, mind, and spirit. It creates a connection that none can break." Elias swallowed hard. "Sounds ... serious." "It is." The next day, the two walked together through the human camp. Soldiers eyed them suspiciously. Some whispered that Elias had lost his mind. Others said Zeltheri was playing a dangerous game. Elias met their gazes without fear. "We're tired of dying," he told them. "This war must end. And if this is the way, then so be it." Later, Elias stood before the human council and the Zari elders. He spoke with passion. I am not just a soldier. I am a man who believes in peace and love. I ask you all to trust me beyond the queen. There was silence. Then a harsh voice broke through. Monroe, you are naive. The enemy will never change. Elias looked at Zeltheri. Maybe not. But I have faith that we can change. Council murmured. Some nodded, some stayed silent. Days passed, and preparations for the mating ceremony began. Ancient rituals were dusted off, translated for human understanding. Elias was trained in Zari customs, learning their language, their songs, their dances. One evening, as the sun set over the twin moons of Aridia, Zeltheri led Elias to a sacred garden filled with glowing flowers and singing stones. Here, she said softly, we will pledge ourselves. Elias took a deep breath. I don't know if I'm ready. You are, she said, because you chose this, not just for peace, but for us. The ceremony was unlike anything Elias had imagined. Their bodies connected by glowing bonds of energy, words filled with power and promise echoed in the air. It was beautiful and terrifying. As the ritual reached its peak, Elias felt a surge of warmth and strength flow through him. He looked at Zeltheri and saw not an alien queen, but a partner. A soul joined with his, but the war was not over. In the shadows, enemies plotted. An explosion rocked the hive city. Zeltheri's guards rushed to defend her. Elias fought beside her. Together, they faced the enemy not as a human and an alien but as one. The stars were silent the night the enemy made their final move. On the outer edges of Zari space, a rogue human fleet joined forces with the last surviving warlords of the Zari resistance. They refused peace. They believed Queen Zeltheri had been corrupted. They believed Captain Elias Monroe was a traitor to his species. They believed the war should never end, and so, here they came. An army of fire and steel, ready to strike the hive world of Varix Prime, ready to kill the queen, ready to destroy everything Elias and Zeltheri had built. But Elias was no longer just a soldier, and Zeltheria was no longer just a queen. They were bonded now, mind. Body, spirit, they were ready. The warning came during the ceremony of unity. Hundreds of Zari and human delegates had gathered inside the crystal domes of Varix Prime. It was the first ever celebration of peace. Old enemies stood side by side. Children laughed under glowing trees. Music from two worlds played in harmony. But then, alarms. Red lights. Screaming sirens. General Kale, Elisa's old commander, burst into the hall. His face was pale. They're coming. 25 ships. High orbit. No mercy. Zeltheri stood calmly. So it ends where it began, she said. Elias turned to the crowd. Evacuate the children, the elders. Everyone who can't fight, we will stand with you, said one human soldier. And die if needed, said a Zari elder. Zeltheri raised her voice. No, this is not about death. This is about showing them what unity looks like, what love looks like. Elias nodded. Prepare the defenses. Show them this hive doesn't fall. Within an hour, the domes became a battlefield. Energy shields rose around the gardens. Cannons clicked into place. Zari flyers soared into the skies beside human drones. In the command center, Elias stood beside Zeltheri, watching the fleet descend. You don't have to fight, she told him. I didn't propose to you just for words, Elias replied. I meant every part, including the danger. She smiled at him. You are strange, Elias Monroe. Only a little. As the enemy fleet fired their first volleys, Zeltheri sent a message across all channels. Her voice echoed through space. To those who still live in hate, listen well. We do not fear you. We are not weak because we chose peace. We are stronger than ever. Together, human and Zari, we will not break. The battle began. Flames lit the sky. All metal rained down. Ships exploded in the upper atmosphere like fireworks of war. On the ground, Elias led a squad of mixed fighters, humans and Zari, defending the eastern spire. He moved like a shadow, firing plasma rounds, saving both species without hesitation. Zaeltheri led the air command, diving through firestorms on her winged cruiser, directing waves of defense. They fought like one, and for the first time in history. So did their people. But then, the enemy broke through. One of the rogue ships smashed into the central dome. The explosion shattered glass and crystal. The command center collapsed. Its smoke and dust filled the air. Elias was thrown back, blood running down his forehead. He crawled through the wreckage, calling her name. Zael, Zael. She answered faintly through the broken cum. I'm alive, ... trapped. Underground. Hold on, Elias growled. I'm coming. He ran into the wreckage, tearing through beams and broken stone. Sparks flew around him. A support beam almost crushed him, but he pushed on. He found her under a pile of rubble. Her armor cracked, but her spirit unbroken. I told you, she said weakly. You are reckless. And I told you, he said, lifting the beam. Don't break promises. He pulled her free. But they were surrounded now. Enemy soldiers, human traitors, Ziari warlords, dozens of them. Guns raised. No escape. Elias held Zaeltheri close. If we die now, he whispered, at least we die together. No, she said. We don't die. Her eyes flared green. She stood tall. From her chest, a glow emerged. The bond core, the sacred symbol of Ziari unity. It pulsed with power. The enemy hesitated. And from the sky, a new sound. Reinforcements. Human ships. Ziari. Reinforcements. Loyalists from both sides. They had come. Not for war, but for them. The enemy broke. The rogue fleet fell back. One by one, their ships exploded or escaped into the void. The war was over. For real. It's time. Days later, Elias stood in the ruins of the dome, holding Zaeltheri's hand. She wore a ceremonial armor, but this time it was lined with human symbols, stars, oceans, fire. He wore Ziari marks across his chest, the symbol of the bond. Together, they looked across the rebuilt gardens. Children played again. Ziari and humans worked side by side. Planting trees where bullets once flew, General Kale approached. He saluted. You were right, the general said. Love was the weapon we needed. Zaeltheri raised her chin. Not love. Understanding. Elias looked at her. Same thing. That night, under the twin moons, Elias and Zaeltheri stood before their people, not as enemies, not as rulers, but as partners, bonded equal. The ceremony was quiet. No fireworks, no grand speeches, just two hearts from two worlds choosing each other. And in the years that followed, the galaxy changed. The story of Elias and Zaeltheri spread to every system, every colony, every tribe and species. They called it the Bond of War, but history remembered it by a different name, the proposal that saved the stars.